The video call had been scheduled as a family planning session for Derek's wedding. I joined from my office at 7 p.m. on a Tuesday, expecting to discuss rehearsal dinner logistics or bridesmaid dress colors. Instead, I got uninvited. "So, Amber, we need to talk about something sensitive," Derek began, his fiancée Ashley sitting beside him with her perfectly highlighted hair and her hand on his shoulder. "Ashley and I have been going over the guest list and we've made some difficult decisions." Mom and Dad were on the call too, their faces carefully neutral in that way that meant they already knew what was coming. "We're trying to keep the wedding very curated," Ashley said, her voice syrupy with false sympathy. "My family is flying in from Connecticut. My father's colleagues from the firm. Derek's business partners. It's going to be a very professional crowd." "Okay," I said slowly, not yet understanding. Derek cleared his throat. "The thing is, Amber, you don't really fit the vibe we're going for. Ashley's dad is the CFO of a pharmaceutical company. Her brothers both work in investment banking. All of my groomsmen are from the startup world. And you're—" He trailed off. "I'm what?" I asked quietly. "You're a teacher," Ashley finished as if she'd just said serial killer. "Elementary school. Which is lovely really, but Derek and I are building a brand together. His startup is about to go to Series B funding. We're positioning ourselves in a very specific way, and having you there would just send the wrong message." "The wrong message?" "About our network," Derek explained. "About the kind of people we associate with. Ashley's family already thinks I come from, well, a less sophisticated background. Having my sister there in a dress from Target, talking about fourth graders and art projects, it would just validate their concerns." I looked at my parents. Mom was nodding slowly. Dad was studying his hands. "You agree with this?" I asked them. "Honey, it's Derek's wedding," Mom said. "He and Ashley need to make the choices that are best for them. This is about their future. Their business relationships. You understand. We'll take you out for a nice dinner after the honeymoon," Dad added. "Just family. Low-key. More your speed." I sat there in my ergonomic chair in my corner office with its view of the waterfront, wearing my Target dress that actually cost $2,800 from a boutique in Soho, and I felt something inside me go very, very cold. "Okay," I said calmly. "I understand. Congratulations on the wedding." I ended the video call. Then I opened my email and typed a message to Sarah Chin, managing partner at Quantum Ventures, the venture capital firm I'd founded 3 years ago with my own $50 million in seed money. "Sarah, execute immediate withdrawal from Mitchell Tech Solutions. Pull all $1.8 million in funding. Activate the termination clause. I want every dollar out by end of business tomorrow. Full report on my desk by 9 a.m. I hit send. Then I poured myself a glass of wine and waited. Derek's phone started exploding at 7:43 p.m. "My name is Amber Mitchell and I've been lying to my family for 5 years. Not lying exactly. More like allowing them to believe a very specific version of reality that I'd carefully constructed. The truth was this. I taught elementary school for exactly 2 years after college. I loved it. Genuinely loved it. The kids, the creativity, the feeling of making a difference in small, meaningful ways. But I also had a side project. During my second year teaching, I'd started developing an educational app in the evenings. Nothing fancy, just a gamified learning platform that helped kids with reading comprehension. I taught myself to code using free YouTube tutorials. I tested the app with my students. It worked beautifully. I launched it on a shoestring budget. Within 6 months, it had 100,000 downloads. Within a year, it had caught the attention of a major educational technology company that acquired it for $50 million. I was 25 years old. I quit teaching and started a venture capital firm focused on educational technology and women-led startups. I did it quietly using a slightly different version of my name, Mitchell instead of Amber Mitchell, and keeping my personal life completely separate from my professional one. My family never noticed. They decided I was the teacher sister, and that was that. Sweet Amber who loved children and art projects. Poor Amber who'd never make real money. Simple Amber who didn't understand business or networking or ambition. Derek, meanwhile, was the golden child. 3 years older than me, he'd always been the smart one, the ambitious one, the one who was going places. He'd graduated with a business degree and immediately started a tech company, Mitchell Tech Solutions, a B2B software platform for supply chain management. The company had struggled for years. Derek was a great salesman but a mediocre businessman. He burned through his savings, then through mom and dad's retirement contribution, then through maxed out credit cards. 2 years ago he'd been on the verge of bankruptcy. That's when I'd stepped in. I'd done it anonymously, of course. Quantum Ventures invested $1.8 million in Mitchell Tech Solutions through a complex LLC structure that kept my name completely hidden. The terms were generous. We took only 15% equity, gave him full operational control and asked for minimal reporting. The funding saved his company. He hired better developers, improved the platform and started landing real clients. Within 18 months, Mitchell Tech Solutions was profitable and growing. Derek thought he'd done it all himself. I finally attracted serious VC money, he'd bragged at last year's Thanksgiving. They saw my vision. My potential. This is what happens when you have real business acumen. I'd smiled and asked him to pass the sweet potatoes. At Christmas he'd given me a gift card to Target. For your classroom supplies, he'd said generously. I know teachers don't make much. I'd thanked him. The gift card was for $50. I'd made $3.2 million in portfolio returns that quarter. But I'd never told them. I kept teaching. Now as an adjunct volunteer at a charter school one morning a week because I actually missed the kids. I'd kept driving my sensible Subaru. I'd kept living in my teacher apartment. Actually a penthouse I owned outright, but they'd never visited to see the difference. I'd watched Derek build his success on my money and claim it as his own genius. And I'd wondered when, if ever, he'd see me as anything other than his unsuccessful little sister. The wedding invitation had almost broken me. Not the invitation itself. The conversation 3 months before it when Derek had called to tell me about Ashley. She's amazing, Amber. Her family is seriously connected. Her dad could open doors for me I didn't even know existed. This marriage is going to take Mitchell Tech to the next level. Do you love her? I'd asked. What? Yeah, of course. But I also love what she brings to the table. That's smart business. That's not love, Derek. You wouldn't understand. You've never had to think strategically about relationships. I'd hung up thinking, I literally funded your entire business because I love you, you absolute idiot. Running Quantum Ventures had been the most fulfilling work of my life. We'd invested in 43 companies over 3 years. 32 were founded or co-founded by women. 15 were in educational technology. 8 had been acquired for significant returns. 2 had gone public. Our portfolio was worth $340 million. I'd personally made Forbes' 30 Under 30 list in the venture capital category. The article had featured my work, my philosophy, my track record. It had used my professional headshot. Me in a blazer, hairstyled, looking nothing like the teacher sister, who showed up to family dinners in jeans and cardigan sweaters. Derek had walked past a newsstand with my face on the cover and never noticed it was me. My professional life existed in a completely separate sphere. At Quantum Ventures I was a Mitchell sharp investor, tough negotiator, woman who'd built something significant from nothing. At family dinners I was Amber, the sweet teacher who brought homemade cookies and listened to everyone else talk about their important careers. The cognitive dissonance was intentional. I'd learned early that my family didn't want to see me as successful. They needed me to be the supportive, uncomplicated one. The safe comparison that made everyone else's achievements look better. So I let them have that version of me. But I kept detailed records of every dismissal, every condescending comment, every time they'd made assumptions about my life without bothering to ask real questions. Derek's company had been my largest single investment, and my most personal. I'd convinced my partners at Quantum that Mitchell Tech Solutions had potential. I'd structured the deal myself. I'd monitored every quarterly report, watching as my money transformed his failing startup into a viable business. And I'd watched him take credit for all of it. The VCs believe in my vision, he'd said at Dad's birthday dinner 6 months ago. They gave me full control. That's how you know you're a real entrepreneur, when serious money trusts your judgment completely. Ashley had gazed at him adoringly. Mom had beamed with pride. Dad had clapped him on the shoulder. I'd excused myself to the bathroom and had a 15-minute phone call with Sarah about a potential $5 million investment in a women's health startup. When I'd returned, Derek had been showing everyone projected revenue charts on his laptop. This is what real success looks like, he'd said, gesturing at the numbers. Not everyone has the drive to build something this significant. He'd glanced at me when he said it. Not cruelly exactly. More like he was sorry I'd never understand what it felt like to achieve something meaningful. I'd smiled and sipped my wine. That was 3 months ago. The video call about the wedding guest list had been scheduled for final logistics. I'd already bought my dress, an actual designer piece, expensive because I'd planned to look exceptional. I'd been looking forward to celebrating Derek's happiness, despite my complicated feelings about Ashley. Instead, I got a lecture on optics. It's not personal, Ashley had said, her tone suggesting it was extremely personal. It's just that Derek's company is at a critical stage. We need to be surrounded by people who enhance our brand. And teachers are wonderful, of course, but they're not exactly impressive, Derek had finished. Her dad's colleagues are going to be there. People who could write checks for our Series B round. We can't have you there talking about finger painting and asking what Series B even means. I never said I didn't know what Series B funding is. Come on, Amber. You're a teacher. Why would you? Mom had interjected then. Sweetie, you have to understand. Derek's worked so hard to build his company. This wedding is about positioning him and Ashley as a power couple. You'd want to support that, wouldn't you? By not attending my own brother's wedding. By understanding that sometimes love means stepping aside, Dad had said quietly. This isn't about you. But it was about me. It was about the version of me they'd decided I was, and their complete lack of interest in who I actually was. After I'd ended the call, I'd sat in my office for 20 minutes, looking out at the city lights. I'd built my entire professional life on identifying potential in people and companies that others overlooked. I'd made millions by seeing value where others saw nothing. And my own family couldn't be bothered to look past their assumptions about me. I'd funded Derek's company, literally saved it from failure, and he was uninviting me from his wedding because I wasn't impressive enough to be associated with his success. Success I'd made possible. The irony was almost beautiful. I'd opened my email to Sarah Chin with steady hands. Sarah called me at 7:55 p.m., 12 minutes after I'd sent the email. Amber, I got your message about Mitchell Tech Solutions. Are you sure about this? The company is performing well. This is one of our best returns. I'm completely sure. Can I ask what changed? The founder uninvited me from his wedding because having a teacher there would hurt his image. There was a long pause. The founder is your brother. Yes. Who doesn't know you're the investor? Correct. And you're pulling $1.8 million in funding because he uninvited you from his wedding. I'm pulling $1.8 million in funding because I've spent 2 years watching him build success on my money while treating me like I'm too stupid and unsuccessful to be worth his time. The wedding was just the final straw. Another pause. Then, the termination clause in our contract allows for immediate withdrawal with 30 days' notice. But the company will almost certainly collapse without our backing. They're not profitable enough yet to survive losing 60% of their operating capital. I understand. Amber, this will destroy his business. That's not my problem anymore. He's your brother, who just told me I'm too embarrassing to attend his wedding. Sarah sighed. I'll start the paperwork. We can have the full withdrawal processed by Friday if you want to move fast. I want to move faster. How quickly can we do an emergency withdrawal? If you're willing to forfeit the 30-day notice period, we could execute tomorrow. But that's aggressive, Amber. Brutal even. Good. Do it. This is going to cause questions from our other portfolio companies. They'll want to know why we pulled out so suddenly. Tell them the truth. The founder failed to maintain appropriate professional relationships with key stakeholders. That's corporate speak for. He pissed off the wrong person. Yes. Sarah laughed despite herself. Hey. I'll have the paperwork ready by 8 a.m. You'll need to sign off personally since you have final authority on all investments over $1 million. I'll be in at 7. Amber? For what it's worth. If someone uninvited me from their wedding because they thought I was too unsuccessful to be associated with them, and I'd secretly funded their entire business, I'd do the exact same thing. That's why you're my partner, Sarah. I hung up and poured myself another glass of wine. My phone buzzed. Derek calling. I declined it. He called again. I declined again. Then the text started. Derek, 8:02 p.m. Amber, I need you to call me. Now. Derek, 8:04 p.m. My VC is pulling out. All of it. Everything. They're citing some clause in the contract. Derek, 8:07 p.m. This is an emergency. I need to talk to someone who understands business. Can you ask someone at your school if they know any lawyers? Derek, 8:12 p.m. Never mind, you wouldn't know anyone useful. I'll figure it out. I set down my phone and smiled. I signed the withdrawal paperwork at 7 a.m. the next morning in Sarah's office. It's done, she said, sliding the documents across her desk. Full withdrawal of $1.8 million effective immediately. Mitchell Tech Solutions has been notified. The wire transfer will complete by noon. What's the damage assessment? Complete. Without our funding, they can't make payroll in 2 weeks. They have 3 major clients, but the contracts won't generate enough revenue to cover operating costs for another 6 months. They'll need emergency funding to survive. Will they get it? Not likely. Other VCs will see that Quantum Ventures pulled out suddenly and they'll assume we know something they don't. The company will be toxic. How long until complete collapse? 30 to 45 days. Maybe 60 if he finds a bridge loan, but that's optimistic. I nodded. Thank you, Sarah. For the record, I reviewed his file last night. Your brother is a mediocre suit. Decent at sales, terrible at operations, makes emotional decisions. We've been carrying him for 2 years. You made the right call pulling out. Even though he's my brother? Especially because he's your brother. He should have treated you better. I went to my penthouse and waited. Derek appeared at my apartment building at 2:30 p.m. The doorman called up. Ms. Mitchell, there's a Derek Mitchell here to see you. He says he's your brother and it's an emergency. Send him up. I debated whether to change clothes, put on the designer pieces, let him see the penthouse, reveal everything at once. But I decided against it. I wanted him to see me exactly as he'd always seen me. His unsuccessful teacher sister. At least at first. Derek burst through the door when I opened it. He looked terrible, hair disheveled, shirt wrinkled, eyes wild. Amber, thank God. I've been calling everyone. Mom, Dad, my business partners. Nobody knows what to do. My VC firm pulled out. Just pulled out. No warning. No explanation. $1.8 million gone. I'm sorry to hear that. The company is dead without that funding. Dead. Ashley's father was going to introduce me to his network after the wedding. This was supposed to be my breakthrough moment. But now. He ran his hands through his hair. I don't know what to do. Have you tried calling the VC firm? Asking why they pulled out? I talked to some associate. She said it was a strategic portfolio decision. That's corporate BS for, we don't want to tell you. I leaned against my kitchen counter. Maybe they lost faith in your leadership. My leadership? Are you kidding? I've grown this company 300% in 2 years. I landed 3 major clients. I built something from nothing. Did you though? He stared at me. What? Build it from nothing. Did you do that alone? I mean, I had investors obviously. But I'm the one who made it work. I'm the one with the vision. The drive. The business acumen. He shook his head. You wouldn't understand. This isn't like teaching where you just follow a curriculum. This is real entrepreneurship. Right. Real entrepreneurship. Look, I didn't come here for a pep talk or whatever. I need practical help. Do you have any savings? Anything? I need to hire a lawyer to fight this withdrawal. Maybe borrow $10,000 or $20,000 just to keep the lights on while I figure this out. You want to borrow money from me? I'll pay you back. Obviously. Once I get new funding. Though honestly it might take a while. Teachers don't make much, so I know $10,000 is a lot for you. Get out. What? Get out. Derek blinked. Amber, I'm serious. This is an emergency. I could lose everything. You uninvited me from your wedding yesterday because I'm too embarrassing to be associated with your success. Success that was built entirely on money I gave you. And now you're in my home asking me to save you again. His face went pale. What are you talking about? I walked to my desk and pulled out a folder. The one I'd prepared this morning. The one containing every document related to Quantum Ventures' investment in Mitchell Tech Solutions. I handed it to him. He opened it slowly. I watched his face as he read. The investment agreement. Quantum Ventures $1.8 million in funding. The signature at the bottom, A. Mitchell, managing partner. This is. He looked up at me. Mitchell. That's you. Amber Mitchell. Yes. You're the VC? I'm the VC. I founded the firm. I made the investment decision. I've been funding your company for 2 years. His hands were shaking. That's not possible. You're a teacher. I was a teacher. For 2 years. Then I sold an edtech app for $50 million and started a venture capital firm. We're now managing a $340 million portfolio. I made Forbes 30 under 30 list last year. You walked past my face on a magazine cover and didn't recognize me. But you live in this apartment. You drive a Subaru. You talk about 4th graders. I volunteer at a charter school 1 morning a week because I enjoy teaching. I live in this penthouse because I own the building. I drive a Subaru because I like it. None of that has anything to do with what I'm worth. Derek sank onto my couch. You've been lying to us. I've been letting you believe what you wanted to believe. You decided I was unsuccessful because I didn't perform wealth the way you think it should look. You never asked about my life. My work. My finances. You just assumed. Does Mom know? Dad? No. And they won't. Not from me. Why? His voice cracked. Why did you fund my company if you were just going to pull out and destroy it? I funded your company because you're my brother and you were failing. I believed in you. I wanted you to succeed. I structured the deal generously, 15% equity, full operational control, minimal oversight. I could have taken 40% and put my name on everything, but I didn't. I let you have the credit. Then why pull out now? I walked over and stood in front of him. Because yesterday you told me I was too embarrassing to attend your wedding. You said having a teacher there would kill your image. You uninvited me from one of the most important days of your life because you thought I was unsuccessful and simple and not worth being associated with your brand. Amber. You built your success on my money. My faith in you. My investment. And you thanked me by deciding I wasn't good enough to stand beside you when you celebrated that success. Tears were streaming down his face now. I didn't know. You didn't care to know. That's worse. Can you reinvest? Please? I'll make you a public partner. I'll tell everyone the truth. I'll put your name on everything. No. Amber, please. The company will die without that funding. Ashley's father will never respect me. The wedding is still happening? Well, yes, but then you made your choice. You decided Ashley's family and your image were more important than your sister. You don't get to take that back now that you need something from me. But I love you. You're my sister. Funny how you love me now that you know I'm worth something. He buried his face in his hands. What do? I don't know, Derek. Figure it out. You're the real entrepreneur with the business acumen, remember? Not like me. I'm just a teacher who doesn't understand how these things work. I walked to my door and opened it. You need to leave now. Amber. If you tell Mom and Dad about this, about Quantum Ventures, about the money, about any of it, I will ensure that you never get funding from any VC firm in this city ever again. Do you understand me? He stared at me with red eyes. You'd do that. You uninvited me from your wedding to protect your image. I'm withdrawing $1.8 million to protect my peace. We're both making strategic decisions about what matters most. Derek stood up slowly. At the door he turned back. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. I know you are. Now that it costs you something to not be sorry. He left without another word. I closed the door and leaned against it. My hands were shaking. My heart was pounding. But I didn't feel guilty. I felt free. Mitchell Tech Solutions filed for bankruptcy 42 days later. Derek had scrambled to find emergency funding, but Sarah had been right. No other VC would touch a company that Quantum Ventures had suddenly abandoned. The optics were too bad. Everyone assumed we knew something they didn't. 3 employees left immediately. The remaining staff worked without pay for 3 weeks before they quit too. Derek tried to keep the servers running on credit cards, but eventually even that wasn't enough. The company dissolved on a Tuesday morning in March. Ashley's father had been furious. The wedding was still on. Too much money already spent, too many guests already invited. But the relationship between Derek and Ashley's family had soured completely. I heard about all of this through Mom's increasingly frantic phone calls. Derek's company went under, she'd said, crying. Everything he built. Gone. Remember, he's devastated. Can you talk to him? You two used to be so close. I'm busy with school, I'd said. Spring semester is hectic. He needs his sister right now. He should have thought of that before. Before what? Nothing. I have papers to grade. I'll call you later. The wedding happened on schedule. I wasn't there, obviously. I spent that Saturday at a venture capital conference in Boston, networking with other investors and announcing Quantum Ventures' newest $8 million fund focused on women-led educational technology companies. My keynote speech was covered in TechCrunch. A Mitchell of Quantum Ventures makes case for investing in education innovation. Derek never noticed. According to Lauren, my younger sister who had attended the wedding, the event had been beautiful but tense. Ashley's family had been cold to Derek. Several of his former business associates had skipped the reception. The best man's toast had been awkward. It was weird, Lauren told me over coffee 2 weeks after. Derek seemed miserable, like he was going through the motions. And Ashley kept introducing him to her family as my husband who's between opportunities. It was uncomfortable. That's too bad. Do you know what happened with his company? He won't talk about it. Not really. Business stuff is complicated. Lauren had studied me for a moment. You seem different lately. More, I don't know, confident. Maybe teaching is finally building my self-esteem, I'd said with a smile. But the truth was I'd stopped pretending. Not publicly, I still kept my professional and personal lives separate. But internally I'd stopped apologizing for who I was. Stopped making myself smaller to make others comfortable. I'd spent years hiding my success to see if my family would love me without it. They hadn't. So now I was done hiding, at least from myself. 6 months after the wedding, Derek showed up at my apartment again. This time the doorman called up and I almost said no. But curiosity got the better of me. Derek looked different. Thinner. Older. His expensive suit had been replaced with jeans and a sweater. He'd grown a beard. Can I come in? I stepped aside. He sat on my couch, the same spot as before, and looked around the apartment like he was seeing it for the first time. This is really nice, he said quietly. I never actually paid attention before. No. You didn't. Ashley and I are getting divorced. I'm sorry. Don't be. You were right about her. About the marriage. It was about business, not love. When the business died, there was nothing left. He rubbed his face. Her father hasn't spoken to me in 4 months. I'm working as a sales consultant now, making about 1/10 of what I used to make. That's hard. Mom told me you're still teaching. 1 morning a week, she said. That's right. But you're not. I mean, that's not. He looked at me. You're still running Quantum Ventures, aren't you? Yes. And you're still worth millions. Yes. But you haven't told anyone. Mom and Dad still think you're just a teacher. That's correct. Why? I sat down across from him. Because I wanted to see if any of you would value me without knowing what I was worth. If you'd treat me with respect just because I'm your sister. Your daughter. Your family. And you didn't. None of you did. You decided I was the unsuccessful one, the simple one, the one who didn't understand business or ambition. And you treated me accordingly. Derek nodded slowly. I came here to ask for your forgiveness. But I realize now that's not what I need to ask for. What do you need to ask for? Permission to start over. Not with the money, I know that's never coming back. I deserve what happened. But with us. With actually knowing you. The real you. I studied him for a long moment. Do you even know what questions to ask? No. But I'm willing to learn. It wasn't enough. Not yet. Maybe not ever. But it was something. I founded Quantum Ventures 5 years ago. I said quietly. We invest in women-led companies and educational technology. We've made 43 investments. 32 are still active. 8 have been acquired. 2 went public. Our portfolio is worth $340 million. I made Forbes 30 under 30. I've spoken at 3 major conferences this year. I own this building and 2 others. I'm considering buying a 4th. Derek listened, really listened for the first time in years. What else? He asked. I still volunteer at the charter school because I love teaching. I still drive my Subaru because it's reliable. I still live simply because I don't need to perform wealth to know what I'm worth. And you funded my company because you're my brother. Because you were failing and I wanted to help. Because I believed in you even when you didn't believe in me. His eyes filled with tears. I'm so sorry, Amber. For all of it. The wedding, the assumptions, the dismissals. For never bothering to know you. I know. Can I know you now? Actually know you? I thought about it. About 5 years of hiding. About 2 years of watching him take credit for success I'd made possible. About a wedding I'd been uninvited from because I was too embarrassing. About the fact that he was here now, asking real questions, actually trying. Maybe, I said finally. But Derek, if you ever tell anyone about this, about quantum ventures, about the money, about any of it, we're done. Permanently. I get to decide when and if our family knows the truth. Not you. I understand. And you need to figure out who you are without the startup, without the money, without the image. Because that's what I've been doing for 5 years. Figuring out who I am when nobody's watching. When there's no audience to perform for. How do I do that? Start by asking yourself what you actually want. Not what looks impressive. Not what Ashley's father would approve of. What you want. He sat with that for a moment. Then he asked, "Can I take you to dinner? Just us. No parents, no sister. Just, can I take you to dinner and listen to you talk about your actual life? That would be nice. And Amber, for what it's worth, I'm proud of you. I should have been proud of you 5 years ago. 10 years ago. Always. But I'm proud of you now." It wasn't forgiveness. It wasn't redemption. It wasn't enough to undo the years of dismissal and assumption. But it was a start. We had dinner the following week at a small Italian place in my neighborhood. Derek asked questions. Real questions. About quantum ventures, about my investment philosophy, about the companies in my portfolio. About why I still taught. About what made me happy. I answered honestly. At the end of the night he said, "You know what's crazy? I spent 2 years telling everyone I was a successful entrepreneur. But you've actually been one the whole time. You built something from nothing. You took a risk that paid off. You created jobs, funded dreams, changed industries. And I never saw it because I was too busy looking for success in all the wrong places." "You weren't looking at all," I corrected gently. "You were assuming." "Yeah. I was. We still don't have a normal sibling relationship. Maybe we never will. The trust is broken in ways that take years to rebuild. But we have dinner once a month now. He asks about my work. I ask about his. He's building something smaller now, more sustainable. Something he actually cares about rather than something that just looks impressive. Mom and Dad still think I'm just a teacher. I'll tell them the truth eventually. When I'm ready. When it's my choice. Lauren knows something is different, but she hasn't figured it out yet. And Quantum Ventures just closed a $25 million Series A for a women-led edtech company that's going to change how students with learning disabilities access education. I'm on the board. My face is in the press release. But my family still won't notice. Because they're still not looking. And I'm done shrinking myself to fit their assumptions. I'm A. Mitchell, managing partner of Quantum Ventures. I'm Amber Mitchell, volunteer teacher who loves 4th graders. I'm worth $127 million. And I'm finally done being invisible.